All right, guys, happy Thursday, and I am so sorry that we are late. I obviously have been very honest with you about what's going on. I wanted to at first calm myself down, make sure that I approached this topic quite rationally. Again, there have just been another set of, I would just call them bizarre attacks on the phrase Christ is King. They are coming out of absolutely nowhere, as they were coming out of absolutely nowhere last year when they were being framed as anti-Semitic. And I want to discuss this thoroughly, because I'm seeing all of you guys tagging me in all of these posts that are coming out of the Daily Wire management team. And so we are going to address them thoroughly. Welcome back to Candace. Okay, so let's start in the past. Obviously, today I was actually going to speak to you about Hugh Jackman being drafted into the Blake Lively lawsuit, but I'm glad that we have pivoted and it's Lent season. And for whatever reason, this just seems to happen again during Lent season as it did last year. So for those of you that are new to my podcast, and everybody, I guess, is new to my independent podcast, last year, almost exactly a year, I was fired from the Daily Wire. I think it was March 22nd or March 23rd. And after we agreed to part ways within 24 hours, might have been 48 hours, Andrew Klavan of the Daily Wire released a 1-hour video essentially accusing me of many things, but referring to me as anti-Semitic, trying to link me to Nick Fuentes. There was no link between me and Nick Fuentes, but the ADL and Andrew Klavan tried to sort of establish one in his video, and they did this via Twitter, and then said that the most egregious thing that I had done was used Christ is King against a Jew. And that is just completely not factual. I've never once uttered that phrase at a Jew. At the time that this happened in March, I had not tweeted that phrase, I don't believe, since the prior November is what he was referring to. And I certainly did not tweet it at any Jew. And so an entire scandal was born overnight, really, when people just began going, what is this? Obviously, it's Easter week, and we are having somebody essentially try to make it sound as though saying the phrase Christ is King is derogatory in a circumstance if you utter it at a Jew, and yet that circumstance had not happened. And I take questions and people that attack my faith or attack the reason that I have said something very seriously. I take it very seriously. And in the context that I had used the phrase Christ is King was perfectly acceptable. The prior November, I tweeted it because the media was trying to get me to engage in an attack against my colleague, and I decided to abstain. And I said, blessed are the peacemakers. And I thought that I was choosing peace in that moment. And indeed, that certainly backfired. Anyways, why are we speaking about this today? Well, like I said, many of you have noticed that there has just sort of been these increasing, if you want to call it commentary that is coming from Daily Wire management, Daily Wire commentators regarding things that I've said, positions that I have, or just appearances that I am making. And, I would like to really leave the Daily Wire in the rearview mirror, which is why when I covered these statements last week, when I went on Theo Von's podcast and Ian Carroll went on Joe Rogan's podcast on the same day, and some people, I would say a small minority, were apoplectic, even though I thought that the conversation was really funny. And I think also illuminating for a lot of people who are getting to see me as opposed to having me being caricatured by the media, just being able to see what I believe in, like what I believe in as a Christian. Obviously, that is where I stand, why I am against what Bibi Netanyahu is doing. And that's just not something that is going to change because people are calling me anti-Semitic. I have a Christian perspective on the murder of children, and it doesn't adapt if that child is a Jew or if that child is a Christian, or if that child is a Palestinian, or if that child is Israeli. And that seems to really bother people who are aligned with the Zionist initiative. And I believe some people in that space genuinely believe that it is sadder if an Israeli child dies than if a Palestinian child dies. Irrespective, I will just re-up that tweet again for you that Jeremy wrote. And even though my name was not explicitly used, there were only 2 podcasts that went out that day on major platforms, Theo Von and Joe Rogan. And this was his tweet. Yesterday was a terrible day for American Jews. The embrace by so many prominent voices of demented, conspiratorial, anti-Jewish voices is one of the saddest, most alarming events in my lifetime. This way lies madness, and worse than madness. Do not let the times cost you your soul. Audience capture and unchecked tribalism are tools of the devil. Paranoia and revisionism are too. Even if they really are out to get you, heck, even a righteous cause can lead us to evil if we don't guard our hearts in the quest. The wicked often prosper, and the temptation to prosper often tempts us to join them. But only God offers the richness of salvation, and he already came for us, the only Jewish scapegoat for our sin and fear. Leave the rest of them alone. And my response to this was essentially, I believe in the free markets. Like, if you want more of that, I said follow Jeremy Boring, follow Daily Wire, sign up for the Daily Wire if you agree with that perspective. What else can I say? There's really not much to say about that. Then yesterday, Ben Shapiro retweeted an article written by Christopher Rufo. The article was entitled "The Anti-Semitic Influencer Problem." And embedded in this article, once again, was referring to me as the anti-Semitic influencer who has gained a platform and has gained a following and is not going away. Now, what's really interesting is the Free Press was one of the people 1 year ago who, after I got fired from the Daily Wire, were like, she's done, she's toast. Corporate media is over, because she's not attached to a corporate media head. She's done, it's over, she's crazy, she's had a mental breakdown. And now we're fast forwarding and they're saying, oh, why does she still have a platform? Well, here is the excuse. It's because everyone else is being tempted by the devil. So it's a new flex, but essentially they were very explicitly calling me anti-Semitic, along with Kanye West, and Andrew Tate is also mentioned in the piece. And what am I supposed to think about that? Is it supposed to poke me so that I reply and that I say something about Ben Shapiro? Well, all I can say is, if you want more of that content, you guys, then follow Ben Shapiro. If you want content of people who believe that for simply not aligning yourself with the ambitions and the goals, as the Free Press believes, of Israel, that somehow makes you anti-Semitic. I personally believe that it makes me a Christian, and it makes me American first to say that I don't have to pledge allegiance to a foreign nation and the things that they're doing. So I'm not clear on why that came. And then out of nowhere, no one's been saying Christ is King that I know of, right? I don't think this has been trending beyond today because they have re-upped the conversation. But yesterday, the same day, we had Andrew Klavan, who issued this tweet. The problem with arguing with anti-Semites is that they are genuinely as stupid as bricks. They say Christ is King and America first, then make excuses for Iran's government of radical Islamists dedicated to U.S. destruction. They think Gentiles have tormented and persecuted Jews in one nation after another. So there must be something wrong with Jews. Really, Sherlock? They're not even smart enough to be feckless clowns. Jews are less than 3% of our population and have made amazing contributions in science, industry, finance, and entertainment. And that's not even mentioning the bagels. Oh, the bagels. And while Jews have their evildoers, just like everyone else, the anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about Nagasaki and the Bolsheviks and Leo Frank are truly the work of semi-literate morons. Now, to be clear, I have spoken about Nagasaki, I have spoken about the Bolsheviks, and I obviously have spoken about Leo Frank. And so and obviously he did the whole video about Christ is King, and it was about me. So people are connecting the dots here. And like a week ago, I think it was, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, that I made a reference to bagels in New York when joking, saying I couldn't be anti-Semitic living in New York because everybody knows you won't get a bagel. So this was like not exactly something that was difficult for the internet to decipher. First comment was, oh, this is a direct attack on Candace Owens. And people were sending it to me going, what is going on here? Okay. I'm like, I don't know. 7 weeks left to give birth. And I don't know what all these attacks are about or why suddenly there are all of these articles and people doing threads. I'm not going to bend the knee to Israel. So I don't know what the point of this is. I think I made that clear over the last year. And so this morning I wake up and this one really was just unbelievable. So there was a study that was done, a Rutgers study that was done, Thy Name in Vain, How Online Extremists Hijacked Christ is King. Again, nobody has been mentioning Christ is King. So this is one of these incredible things where We are actually being attacked as Christians, but they are purporting that they're attacking us because they're being attacked with the phrase, with no evidence of that, actually. Actually, zero evidence. No one, like I said, this was not trending. No one was speaking about this, but it allows them to get Christians riled up, and suddenly you're debating something that's not happening, okay? Now, saying that you can point to some troll accounts on the internet that might be saying this phrase in a derogatory way is such a crap way to argue. Let's just start with that. I mean, anonymous people on the internet saying stuff means that something is real and exists and is worthy of a report and a study. Absolutely not. You wake up, you go on the internet, and I get called the N-word like 12 times. Do I get to go, oh, well, this is proof. This is proof of something because anonymous accounts are saying the N-word. No, it might stipulate that there's proof that you aren't mature enough to be on the internet. If you're getting your heart broken 1,000 times by anonymous trolls, you probably are not mature enough to be on the internet. You probably shouldn't be on social media. But worthy of an entire study? And who was a part of the study? Well, Jordan Peterson, obviously, who has a contract with the Daily Wire. And I'm going to point something out to you about this. This study, and we're going to show you the video, parts of the video of this that they put together, which again tries to pretend like me and Nick Fuentes are leading a movement together and are doing something really evil. And it's trying to separate Christians and make Christians go, okay, but you have to condemn Candace. You can be a good little Christian, but you have to condemn Candace Owens. We just need you to, and this is how it gets people to move you over. Like, you're an okay conservative. We just need you to say that Trump's a fascist. You're not one of those. Like, this is like the neocon movement, right? You're a good conservative. You're not like those bigots that are wearing the red hats. This is 2016 all over again. And what's really offensive to me, first and foremost, is that it's Lent season. Okay. And what you have going on right now is this study. I find this timing to be remarkably suspicious. The way they're trying to pull Christians apart and make them think that they can be a better Christian is so reminiscent to me of a discussion I had with Dr. Ben Carson, actually, about slavery. And he was saying, and that, historically speaking, this was sort of the concept of the field Negro and the house Negro, right? Like, you're the house Negro, so you're preferred. That's the field Negro. You don't want to be a field Negro, you want to be a house Negro. So here's what you have to do to be a house Negro. This is the same sort of a psychological tactic. They're essentially saying there are certain types of Christians that are beyond the pale. And if you want to be a good little house Christian, here's all you have to do. Condemn them. Condemn them that are out in the field. And I won't play this game anymore. And what I am particularly peeved about regarding this study, which Jordan Peterson took part in, is when you look at, because I just said, okay, who funded this study? Who did this study? Is this Christians coming together and recognizing a problem amongst Christians? Because that would make a little more sense. I would still strongly disagree. But if it was all Christians that came together in front of the study and said, hey, we really have a problem and we've got to address it, then I would be much more understanding this Lenten season. But it's not that, okay? It's not that. Look at the list of the people who were a part of the study. So I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 individuals who took place in this study. The first principal investigator there that you have, Dr. Lee Jussum, is Jewish. Dr. Jordan Peterson has said he does not believe in Christ. We're going to get to him in a second. So he's unknown, I guess we could say, an atheist, perhaps. Reverend Dr. Johnny Moore, who I would refer to as the token Christian because he's the only one. And he's the one that retweeted this study and got this going this morning. We're going to speak more about him. Then we have Dr. Joel Finkelstein, who is Jewish. We have Jacob Zucker, who is Jewish. We have Danit Sarah Finkelstein, who is Jewish. We have Sonia Yanofsky, who is Jewish. We have Alex Goldenberg, who is Jewish. We have Ohad Fadida, who is Jewish. We have Gideon Furher, who we checked, and he is Jewish. We have Simon Lazarus, who is Jewish. And the last two, Anisa Jagdeep and Ankita Jagdeep, are presumably Hindu, but they are Indian. So this is a study that was funded by Jews to make Christians war with one another during the Lenten season. That is problematic to me, okay? And I hope that if you are a Jewish listener of mine, now that you've probably been enjoying my content and recognizing that these smears about me don't make sense. I am in the middle of a series trying to ironically to free a Jewish man from prison, Harvey Weinstein, who I believe was wrongfully convicted. And he is was one of the biggest donors to the ADL, who has me on their list as an anti-Semite. But I don't care, because because I care about the truth, and I don't care about whether or not he's Jewish. I don't care who he donates to or what he believes in politically. I care about actual justice. You've probably been watching my series on Justin Baldoni, who is Ashkenazi Jewish and who is, along with Justin Heath and Steve Sarowitz, another Jewish individual, Ashkenazi Jewish individual, being attacked by quote unquote Christians, right? Christian Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, they grew up some denomination of Christianity, and yet I take their side, not because they're Jewish, not because I care if his name is Steve Sarowitz, because I think they're right, and I think they're telling the truth. And because people are able to get to my content, they can see now that all of these smears have always been ridiculous. I simply don't support Israel and what Israel is doing, and that is my right as an American. So for those of you who watch my content and are Jewish, how would you feel if during a high holy holiday, you found that a group of 13 Christians and one token Jew funded a study saying that, well, you know what? You wearing your yarmulke is actually anti-Christian. I find that to be, you just can't do that right now. And it's not what like you can do it, but we're just trying to explain to you that there's some of you who are doing it to hurt Christians. So we just need you guys to peel off and recognize which one of you Jews should be shouting at the other Jews. You can be a good Jew or you can be a bad Jew. That is how this study has arrived to Christians. So I'm really trying to communicate to you from the heart of where the frustration and the anger comes from. Okay, it's got nothing to do with anti-Semitism. It has to do with people being able to clearly see what this is. This is a Jewish-funded attack against Christians during the Lenten season. That is a fact. There's no way, and this does not mean that every Jew participated in this. In fact, we have their names right here. We know the person who funded this organization, by the way. He is on this list as well. It's Dr. Joel Finkelstein. His father is a rabbi. So to purport and pretend that this is some, Jewish Christian issue, it's just not, okay? There's something about this that feels slimy. It feels, and to know that the lone token Christian, when we look him up, we can find no information about his family, Reverend Dr. Johnny Moore. But what we do know is that he works with and gets paid by the ADL. So this is problematic. This entire report is problematic. And I'm going to show you just how explicit it is in its condemnation of me and in Christians who follow me as they attempt to drive a wedge between us, which I want to be very clear is not going to happen. Take a listen.
Since the advent of Christianity, Christ is King has been a cry for connection to the divine, a declaration of faith, a moving signal between Christians of their shared values. But what happens when it becomes a manipulation tactic designed to deceive Christians? Mentions of Christ as King have increased fivefold on platforms like X in just the past 4 years. At first glance, it would seem hopeful as people begin to reinvestigate faith in the face of increasing secularization and chaos in the world. But the NCRI, an organization at the forefront of monitoring deep trends in data, observed a striking and nefarious development around the phrase Christ is King beginning in 2021. In 2024, more than 50% of all engagements around Christ is King posts were driven by extremist influencers. The word extremist gets used a lot, and many are understandably skeptical at its use. But we're talking about people like this.
I used sex as a tool to make women love me so they'd obey me and live in my house and make me money.
Catholics and Christians were going missing on Passover, then they would find bodies, and they were able to trace them back to Jews. Blood libel.
Real Africans, on average, have an IQ of 65.
Posts like these achieved over 13.6 million views and more than 100,000 engagements during Easter 2024 alone. While co-opting the phrase for their toxic narrative, figures like Candace Owens and Jake Shields repeat hateful blood libels. And shockingly, by 2024, the most frequently associated term with Christ as King was the word Jew. The intent is clear: manipulate well-meaning, faithful Christians into having their beliefs tethered to psychopaths. This is nothing short of diabolical. We're caught watching Christ is King being taken by the supremacist right more and more each day. These connections matter. The spiritual, the linguistic, the interpersonal. They shape us, they shape our society, and they shape the world. So what kind of connections do we want to build? And more importantly, what kind of world will we help create? Help retake our values.
Whose values? Whose values? And I'm asking that question meaningfully. Whose values are we speaking about? Because you should come forward and you shouldn't use a token Christian if you want to attack Christians, and particularly by using a video clip that's about 3 seconds, taken completely out of context to make it seem as though I was screaming and ranting about Jews is completely ridiculous, and it's unbelievably dishonest. And I want to be very clear. People are beginning to see right through you, okay? So this is backfiring. Obviously, this is backfiring. Now Christ is King is trending all over again. But the part that I really want to drive home for Christians that are watching this is intentional and it's evil, okay? What is happening is evil. There's no other way to say this. Putting this report together, trying to use a token Christian to come out who works with the ADL. There's videos of him. He's speaking about how involved he is in the ADL. In fact, let's listen to the Reverend Johnny Moore, who we can find nothing about other than his ties to the ADL, speaking out about how involved he is with the Anti-Defamation League, which actually specializes in defaming and smearing people. Take a listen.
I'm involved in the ADL in all kinds of ways. You know, I'm a part of the ADL and Aspen Institute Civil Society Fellowship. I'm on the advisory board for the Aspen Institute and ADL Civil Society Fellowship. It has shown me where we have to keep our eyes on certain trends and certain ideas, and when people say things, what they actually mean. It's been and not only an amazing educational experience, a practical way for me to get into this fight against hate for good, but it has also afforded me the opportunity to learn so much along the way and to meet so many different people. And I can tell you, again, I'm not Jewish, I'm Christian, and yet I've just always felt at home, in the ADL community.
Wonderful. You should feel at home in the ADL community because you engage in smears against Christians. And that's exactly what that community has always been about. Here's another clip of Reverend Johnny Moore at the Sinai Temple Synagogue in West Los Angeles. He works with the Simon Wiesenthal Center very closely as well. And here he is talking about Christian Zionism, which is what this is really about. Take a listen.
I know the state of Israel is strong. It's as strong as it's ever been. The truth is, you don't need us. But what I want you to know is that, need us or not, we are committed to building a great wall of Christian Zionism all over the world to push back the forces of anti-Semitism. But that also includes educating well-meaning Christians on our own history of Christian anti-Semitism.
So, like I said, clearly what this is coming down to is the fact that they just simply do not like Christians who will not say that they put Israel first, okay? Everything else is just a song, a dance, a lie, a smear, a well-funded effort to take down people because they do not want people who are just Christians, not Christian Zionists, because I find the two terms to be utterly oxymoronic, if I'm being frank with you. A political ideology where you have to pretend you don't care about the death of children because somehow the ambitions of Bibi Netanyahu in the Middle East mean more. That, to me, it seems a bit backwards, I would say. And it's not something that I'm ever going to agree with. And so if you're upset that I have influence and you think that by writing more hit pieces on me and more smears about me and pretending that I'm leading an army of people to attack Jews by not asserting that I will do anything to defend Bibi Netanyahu, I would say that you should at least try to time these attacks better than the Lenten season every year. So what's going on at the Daily Wire? What is going on at the Daily Wire that this seems to be something of a fixation for them right now? I cannot figure out. We have gone our separate ways. We have agreed to disagree. I do not understand why, if you have signaled to the public that my morality and my beliefs are so incompatible with your holier beliefs, why you feel the need to keep discussing my ideas, why you feel the need to keep subtweeting me, why you feel the need to retweet articles that call me an anti-Semite. Your feelings about me have been made perfectly clear. I don't understand it. I've said I'm not folding, I'm not bowing to it, I'm not fighting it. I hope every person who agrees with you, as I said, supports you and supports your tweets. What is going on at the Daily Wire right now. Okay. I'm going to show you this Jeremy Boring tweet. Actually, before this, what we'll do is we'll read a couple of these advertisements before we get into his tweet about Christ is King, and the way that he is, again, giving us a Twitter sermon on what it really means and the people to watch out for. First, I want to remind you guys about Nimi Skincare, because you know it is never too late to continue embracing positive change in your life. If you're ready to maintain that new year, new me momentum, then you can look no further than Nimi Skincare. From gentle formulas to luxurious treatments, Nimi offers everything you need to keep your skin glowing. And right now, if you use code Candace10 at checkout, you will enjoy 10% off your order. Whether you're pampering yourself or surprising a loved one, now is the perfect time to try Nimi's transformative skincare at a great price. Nimi Skincare isn't just another beauty brand. It's a celebration of faith, family, and freedom, proudly made in the USA. Looking for something extra gentle? Nimi's clean, fragrance-free formulas are ideal for sensitive skin and those seeking a pure approach to self-care. Use code Candace10 today at NimiSkincare.com, N-I-M-I skincare.com, promo code Candace10, and save 10% on your purchase. Give yourself or someone special the gift of glowing, refreshed skin, and keep that fresh start feeling going strong well into 2025. That's NimiSkincare.com. Promo code Candace10. All right, let's bring up Jeremy Boring's tweet about Christ is King. He says, there's no effort on the American right to prevent Christians from declaring the truth that Christ is King. There's no effort, guys. There is an important effort to encourage Christians to be discerning about the motives of some malefactors who would exploit the language of faith in order to foster evil. There is a reason Jesus Christ the King says that not everyone who calls him Lord will be saved. There is a reason an entire commandment warns against carrying his name in vain. Anyone who says Christ is King because they believe Jesus of Nazareth is the King of Kings, the Son of God, and the risen Lord is whom is found forgiveness of sins and life eternal is proclaiming the awesome and terrifying truth of the gospel. Anyone who says Christ is King to assert their dominance over others or create tribal division and foster hatred of outsiders is not proclaiming the Prince of Peace, but the father of lies. In vain do they carry the name of the Lord, and the Christ they declare is the Antichrist who would have your soul. Fortunately, it isn't hard to tell one from the other if you have eyes to see and ears to hear. You know, I'm really happy that he has pivoted, and he seems as of late to be really concerned about everybody's souls. And he seems to have a very solid handle on who is going to be saved and who is not going to be saved. Maybe this is one of the reasons that he refers to himself as the God King. Lowercase, just to be clear, the lowercase God King. And so what I would like to do in an effort to foster these meaningful conversations that they seem to be, you know, rather inclined to continue to discuss and rather inclined to continue to suggest that there are some Christians who need to peel off from other Christians, is to publicly offer Jeremy Boring, Ben Shapiro, and Jordan Peterson an opportunity to debate their ideas with me. Again, we live very close to each other, or we work close to each other, and I'm very happy to have this debate with you publicly, because we could get, rather than sermons via tweets, your actual ideas on what it means to be anti-Semitic, your actual ideas on pornography, which I've got to be honest, it's getting a little confusing for me as to when you condemn pornography and when you don't, because I know I've sat across from you guys on Backstage and I didn't feel that you condemned pornography. In fact, I almost explicitly remember Ben Shapiro stating that there was nothing wrong with the Jewish faith in terms of viewing pornography because it was the act that made somebody sinful rather than the thought, right? The thought and not the deed, if I'm correctly quoting that. I also remember vaguely, and maybe we can pull up the clip, your friend, because you talk a lot about Andrew Tate. There's been a lot about Andrew Tate and his history with pornography, right? Speaking of futuristic pornography, remember your friend, Dennis Prager, speaking about pornography next to you guys on the Daily Wire, speaking about how he believes that if you're looking at porn to prevent yourself from cheating on your wife, that it's not problematic. And then I remember him doubling down on that perspective when similarly discussing AI child porn as a preventative measure to stop pedophiles from molesting children. Do we have that clip, guys, of that discussion? What I don't remember following that was any of you guys who are now so passionately against pornography as it pertains to Andrew Tate and his history. I don't remember that same amount of energy being used to speak out against Dennis Prager and the child pornography, AI pornography discussion. Do we have that clip of him? Okay, so let's first show the one of him speaking with Matt Fradd about AI child porn.
Speaking of pedophilia, suppose a man says, I view animated child porn. So there's no real victim in that sense of child pornography, which we both agree is horrendous. And by viewing animated child porn, it prevents me from acting out sexually on a child. Now, I deny that. I think that pornography inflames us to then want to act those fantasies out, and I think there's good studies that back that up. But surely you wouldn't say to the man who views animated child pornography, that's not bad so long as you don't act it out. Wouldn't you want to help this poor sick dude?
Yes, I would, but I'm thrilled that he's not acting it out. I mean,
agreed.
Okay,
of course.
Well, that's big.
Yeah.
We're both thrilled that he might have a poor substitute, but it is a substitute if that were the case. No child is being used. Yeah. It's all animated.
Yeah.
And he.
But would you use the word evil of animated child pornography? Because
no,
I certainly would.
No, I would use evil only with behavior. That's where we might differ.
Yeah.
Forgetting the sex issue, you can't be evil. You didn't do evil if you thought evil. You did evil
if I'm
if you
masturbating
committed.
to animated pictures of pornography, I'm not doing something evil.
That's correct.
Yeah, I think that's despicable. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, of course.
Who is being hurt? You have to have a victim.
Oh, I'll tell you, there's at least two people being hurt. There's the person who's poisoning himself by encouraging him to think acting out on children, and there's also the animator.
Okay, wait a minute. We both are aching for him not to have those fantasies. I agree with you, but
you won't call it evil.
I won't call a fantasy evil. There's too much real evil on earth for me to start being preoccupied with people's thinking.
It's not just thinking; it's him masturbating to images of children.
So that the real question about the whole pornography issue is not pornography; it's masturbation. There is a Catholic tradition.
I disagree. I think it's both. I think both masturbation is evil, but I think pornography is a greater evil.
Okay, so I don't think masturbation is evil.
Again, I am not exactly monitoring your tweets and discussions, but I just don't remember you guys being so vociferous about this clip. And to the contrary, I remember there being almost a wall of silence. And again, if I'm wrong, I'm happy to correct it, because I invite you guys to have this discussion about pornography, since this seems to be one of your gripes. And I'm a Catholic, so my opinions have always been consistent on this. And I totally agree with Matt Fradd regarding his perspective that AI child porn, even if it's AI, would be tremendously harmful to our society, even though there would be no real victim. I think there would be some real victims. I remember him stating this, that he had this viewpoint about pornography on the Daily Wire platform, actually. I think we have that clip. Take a listen.
Looking with lust is not a sin in Judaism.
What's the stance on pornography?
So pornography, when I'm asked this question...
Just to put you on the spot,
You did indeed. Okay, so my answer, when it's raised on my radio show, I have a male-female hour, and I'm very open about sexual subjects. I always ask, if a wife calls me and says, my husband looks at pornography, I found on his computer, I have one question. How is your life of intimacy with your husband? Is it good? In other words, is the pornography in lieu of you or in addition to you? Mm-hmm. And I know this is not a religious answer, and I'm not even giving a religious answer. I'm giving what I think is a moral and realistic answer. Men want variety. And if adultery is a substitute for, if pornography is a substitute for one's wife, it's awful. If it's a substitute for adultery, it's not awful. That is my unpredictable answer.
Well, there is a clinical rule of thumb that's akin to that, I would say. If you're trying to decide clinically whether someone's partaking in a habit, say use of alcohol, has reached the threshold of clinical significance, one of the things you do is ask the person you're assessing, Is it interfering with your employment? Has it got you in trouble with the law? Is your family complaining? Does it stop you from doing other things that you should be doing? And so the judgment isn't the use of the forbidden substance itself. It is in some sense consequentialist. And I'm not saying that that's an absolute, but it is a hallmark of clinical judgment.
Yeah, I just disagree with all of that. And like I said, I don't remember you guys being so vociferous against the topic of pornography when this was trending. I just don't. And I'm happy to be wrong. I'm very happy to be wrong. Maybe you did dedicate the same amount of tweets about pornography. And you also said, like you've said it to others, anybody who platforms or speaks to Dennis Prager after this, she'll be blacklisted, whatever the whole song and dance is. That you guys do about Andrew Tate's webcam business that he had in the past, which I fully disagree with. And I have said multiple times that I fully disagree with because I do not agree that watching any porn is okay. But I do recall sitting across from Ben Shapiro as he made that same argument that it was the thought and not the actual deed. And Matt Walsh on that backstage said, no, that's not right. So let me know. I'm just saying it just seems like you guys have a lot to say about me. In fact, speaking of Jordan Peterson, who's not a Christian at all, but is a clinical psychologist, he contributed today. And here's what he had to say about me, because obviously the issue here is me saying Christ is king. It's totally me saying Christ is king that is problematic and is going to break the psyche of Christians if they don't realize that when I say it, it's an evil, even though I've never shouted the phrase Christ is king at a Jew in my life. But we're going to keep beating up this idea. We're going to keep pretending there's this boogeyman. That's just never happened. It just factually has never happened. And you're trying to conflate commentary on the internet to make it fetch, to make it seem as though it's happened. It never once took place. Okay. I say Christ is king because I know that Christ is king, and I know that Christ is truth, and I know that Christ is light. And I knew now, like I knew then, that attacks against Christ and those who don't stand up for him and allow this little chipping away at our faith to happen, I know that those attacks won't stand. A lie cannot defeat the truth. That has been a lesson since this entire year, since I have left the Daily Wire. I have learned that the smears, the lies, the libel, the things that have been said about me in the press after surviving it, which seems to me to be the issue here, is I survived it. I knew that it wouldn't stand because it wasn't true. I have no hatred in my heart towards Jewish people. I have no hatred in my heart towards Christians. I have no desire to divide Christians. I have a desire, I hope, for Christians to come to the fullness of truth. I hope that Christians, and I hope that this discussion will wake up many Christians to what Christian Zionism really is, which I believe is the abuse of Scripture to get people to align with what has always been a political party. Jews did not support the Zionist movement when it began. That's a fact. Historically speaking, Jews worldwide did not support the Zionist movement. And in the moment right now, there are Jews who do not support the Zionist movement. And they're told that they're not Jews, which lets you know that it is not a faith. It is not a faith. It is a political party. That is my belief, and it is not subject to change because I'm being smeared again by Barry Weiss's The Free Press. So let's get to Jordan Peterson's tweet. Let's see how he has weighed on this as a non-Christian. Jordan Peterson writes, Candace Owens, a true Pharisaical pretender. She vociferously proclaims her devotion to Christ for no other reason than to elevate her perceived status. Her outrage is designed not to shout the truth from the rooftops, build bridges, or make peace, but to subvert Christianity itself with its new force to her own purposes. She is literally using God's name in vain. There are few more unforgivable sins. I want to again remind you, he is not a Christian. He does not accept Christ. Okay, so he must not know what it means to be Pharisaical. For him to be doing this as someone who has publicly declared that he does not believe in Christ, yeah, well, there might be a reason that he got absolutely destroyed in the comments of people waking up and going, wait, what are you doing? This is Rabbi Shmuley, right? Rabbi Shmuley citing New Testament verses to me while also saying, I don't believe in Christ. So what are you doing? Is this a Snapple fact to you? Like something you get tattooed on your lower back in high school? If you don't believe in Christ, what are you doing citing the New Testament? Is it academic, perhaps, for you? You like the way it sounds? Anyways, let's go on. It's maybe something he wants to put on his Zanga profile or something, like AIM. He continues, woe to you scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites. This is literally what I said to Rabbi Shmuel. You are like whitewashed tombs, which appear beautiful on the outside, but inside are full of dead men's bones and every kind of filth. This just came at me today. Okay? And it goes on. He goes on, right? There's another one. Isn't there a third tweet behind this? Maybe there's not. But it's like you got Jordan Peterson now, who is pretending to be a Christian because he wants to divide Christians on this topic. Again, reminder, nothing happened this week regarding Christ is King. Okay, so this is an attack on the faith. There's no other way for us to take a look at this, report, rather, that was published, than a random attack on the Christian faith that's meant to divide Christians. They cannot pretend that someone was being victimized, that something happened on the internet, that something was trending. The only thing that has been routinely happening on the internet as of late is people debating whether or not America should be in this marriage with Israel all the time. That's a political debate. It has nothing to do with our faith. No one, least of all me, despite speaking about the free speech issues that are coming because people are believing that you can't criticize Israel, I didn't speak about this on the show and then say, Christ is king. No, I said, I think Bibi Netanyahu is a monster, because I do. And that's not subject to change. Again, I can't tell you that that is not subject to change enough. And I've already survived your attack, so how much bigger can your smears get? Okay? I want to get to some of your comments and to continue showing you like what else has been going on the internet, because I'm interested in what you guys believe this is and how you believe it should arrive to Christians. And I'm also interested in hearing the Jewish opinion on this. Now that we have gone through this timeline, you are seeing all of this, people pretending that they're being victimized by speech that wasn't said. Okay. Pharisaical. Okay. What are you talking about? It is Easter. You're not a Christian. Okay, we're leading up to Easter, and you are not a Christian, and you are telling us about the Pharisees. Yeah, that's pretty rich, Jordan Peterson. I think that's pretty rich. Reminding you guys about home title lock. Did you know that scammers can literally steal your home right out from under you? The FBI calls it house stealing, and it's a growing real estate scam targeting American homeowners. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on just one document. They use a fake notary stamp. They pay a small fee, and they file it with your local recorder's office. And just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. So let me ask you, when was the last time that you checked your home title? If you're like me, the answer is never. And that's exactly what scammers are counting on. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. Their $1 million triple lock protection helps keep your home and equity safe. With Home Title Lock, you can get immediate 24/7 monitoring of your property, urgent alerts if there are any changes, and fraud should happen. Their U.S.-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and restore your title at no additional cost. And here's the best part. I've teamed up with Home Title Lock to give you a free title history report so you can find out if you're already a victim and access your personal title expert, a $250 value just for signing up. So head to HomeTitleLock.com and use my promo code Candace250 or click on the link in the description. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Candace250 to get the protection and peace of mind that you deserve. Okay, I'm going to, again, just ask you guys, what do you think is going on at the Daily Wire? Because genuinely, I am just completely miffed. I don't understand it. Like I said, they have made their positions very clear about what they view about me, what they think about me. They made it loud and clear last year. They are, for what reason, making it loud and clear again? Is it because I went on Theo Von? Is everybody triggered about Theo Von? And I want to again assert that I will debate all of you at the same time, okay? I am literally 33 weeks pregnant, and I am happy to host you here, okay? Happy to host you to sit around and to debate your ideas of what anti-Semitism is, because they've widened. I think they've widened a bit since I've been at the Daily Wire, what you define anti-Semitism as. Maybe it hasn't. Maybe I just wasn't aware when I was at the Daily Wire. I would definitely like to get into your theology for sure. I would like to understand what it is, who you think you are to assert when or where or how somebody should say Christ is king. I find that argument to be exactly like the argument that is made from people on the left when they try to explain to us when it's appropriate for women to say that they're women, because it could be hurtful if you say it and Dylan Mulvaney is there wearing a dress. You know, there's a time and a place. That could be transphobia. You could trip it. Okay, but it's a truth. I am a woman. I'm a woman. So why do I have to care about how somebody feels about the phrase? And again, I find it to be disingenuous because there was no person that was shouted down by me saying Christ is king if they were a Jew. And if that had happened, it would still be true, but it never happened. So this entire debate seems to be hinging upon a non-event, which again, to me is incredibly disingenuous. And maybe I have it wrong. Maybe you guys did experience something. Maybe you were walking down the street. Maybe Ben Shapiro was walking down the street and somebody chased him down and said, Christ is king. And so he did experience that. And if you did, I would really suggest you to illuminate that. Because if you're just going to keep saying random accounts on the internet, okay, then I have the right to proclaim that I suffer racism every single day. And it's never been bigger or happening more than it is right now, because I log on to X and people say the N-word. And so therefore, I am perpetually a victim who has the right to squeeze speech, right? To let people know that their souls will be condemned unless they recognize that they shouldn't be aligning or being followed by or being retweeted by whatever it is, or have anybody in their comments ever that says something offensive to a Black person. It feels a little Black Lives Matter to me. It does. It feels like we're using and recycling the same arguments that were used during BLM to call everybody a name, anti-Semitic, everyone a conspiracy theorist, everybody this or that, when at its core, it's trying to control people. That's how I feel. I feel that you want me to somehow align with Christian Zionism. You think that you have a right to my platform, right? You think, well, if we didn't destroy her, we have to try one more time and get our friends to write articles. And on this same day, by the way, so you got Jordan Peterson, you've got Andrew Klavan, you got Ben Shapiro retweeting Chris Rufo. Look at this in the Daily Beast. Same day, guys, same day. Oh, why MAGA must expel. This is their new position. We must expel. We must separate. We need the field Negroes and the house Negroes. We must expel the podcast Pied Pipers of anti-Semitism. And it's a picture of me and Tucker Carlson and Andrew Tate. And also mentioned in this article is Ian Carroll, who was just on Joe Rogan. And he's got to be expelled. He's not even MAGA. He's not even MAGA. And he's already got to get expelled, guys. And all you have to do is listen to people who didn't support Trump, who are now MAGA and are telling you that here's who you must expel so that we can become what? So that we can become who? Yeah. Who wrote this article, by the way? Pull that back up. Who was this article written by? Daniela Greenbaum Davis. So again, this is another Jewish person who is leaning into this and attacking people and pretending that everyone who is not allegiant to Israel is problematic and must be expelled, okay? This is a very obvious attack, okay? And this is what leads to people having theories about coordinated power behind the scenes, because this couldn't all have just happened on the same day magically. It just couldn't. I don't think it could have me, but I'm a conspiracy theorist, whatever it is that you want to call me, for saying Christ is king, and also for not worshiping and falling on my hands and knees to worship Bibi Netanyahu. Okay, whatever. That might make me, I don't know, a real Christian. Okay, let's get into some of your comments. I really want to see what you guys were thinking about this. What is going on? Again, the offer stands. I would debate all of you at the same time. Little old me, ready to deal with your impenetrable logic and fortitude and clarity on these matters anytime. Let's do it. I think actually Andrew Klavan specifically said he shouldn't even debate because he's so smart and above it. I think it's like you could bring up his exact tweet, but at the beginning of his tweet, he'd certainly said, the problem with arguing with anti-Semites is that they are genuinely as stupid as bricks. We're not even worth having the argument with. Well, I would like to challenge you, Andrew, to just a debate, a healthy debate about your ideas. Okay, Elizabeth has written, as someone who used to be a liberal and now identifies more as a moderate, your reporting on the facts is fair and unbiased. It's refreshing to see a show that is both informative and thought-provoking while also being funny. I'm officially hooked. Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate that. And again, the more that people get to my content directly, these articles don't matter anymore. These reports being done don't matter anymore. It just catalyzes the destruction of people who lie. Biango writes, isn't it strange as they added Andrew Tate and Jake Shields, who aren't Christian, nor do they say Christ is king, onto the clip. That's so funny. I didn't even realize that. Yeah. Why is Andrew Tate in that clip of this honest report that was done by the NCRI, funded and founded by Joel Finkelstein? Why are you including Andrew Tate if this is about Christ is king? He doesn't say that. What are we even talking about? Jake Shields just doesn't purport to be a Christian. What are we even talking about? Again, this is a divisionary tactic. Bob Catlion writes, Just wanted to send some support your way. You are literally out here doing the Lord's work. Keep preaching and exposing these lies. Much bless. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Catherine writes, right, Aspen Institute. I'm so tired of this religion baiting. We see you. Thank you, Candace. Thank you guys so much for that. Alexandra writes, what they do not realize is that this truth awakening is Christ's plan, and this is a spiritual battle. Jesus Christ is coming back. Candace is fulfilling her calling. God bless your family and you. You know, Christ actually never left. And thank you so much for saying that. And yeah, I declare Christ as king, as I just know that we win. Like, we just win. All we have to do is tell the truth. All we have to do is not to harbor hatred in our heart. All we have to do is be willing to completely be transparent, to have the debates and to have the discussions. And that's enough. That is enough. We don't need to plot behind the scenes. We don't need to get articles dropped on the same day, attacking a phrase. We just have to keep saying the truth unapologetically. Mila writes, our Lord God and Savior, Eastern Orthodox, Jesus Christ is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Amen. Mira Costa writes, you know the haters are watching when they mention the bagels. They're your biggest fan. Yeah. How do we know that was about me? Because I just had mentioned bagels. I think we actually have that clip. Do you want to roll that, Skylar? I hope now people can reflect on really everything that happened last year to me, and people that have written like, Candace, I love your content. Like, I'm just so sad that I found out that you hate Jews. And I'm like, guys, it's not true. It's completely crazy. I lived in New York. I was born in New York. You cannot hate Jews and be in New York City. You will never get a bagel. Okay. It's just not real. So there you go. That was, like I said, it was not subtle when Andrew Clavin had mentioned that. And yes, to someone in the chat that is saying, you know, Andrew Tate is not Christian. Yeah, that's the point. He's not Christian. Like, why would I do it? Like, if he was purporting to be Christian and was posting long sermons on X about what Christians needed to do, it would be problematic. But it's like me, Harvey Weinstein's not a Christian. Like, I'm trying to free him from prison. I don't agree. Theologically, I do not agree with Andrew Tate, and I do not agree with Harvey Weinstein. Like, I don't know what to say to you. Like, duh. That should be self-evident by the fact that we are of different faiths. And you can still have conversations with these people, and you should always communicate what you don't agree with, as I've done with the Harvey Weinstein series. I don't agree with a lot of stuff that he did. I also don't believe he is guilty of the crimes which he is locked up in prison for. And so I have a moral obligation, I feel, to show the public how the Me Too movement has been abused and what happened to Harvey Weinstein and his race and his gender and all that doesn't matter to me whatsoever. I just want to do the right thing because it's important to tell the truth. Maybe one day I'll get people to convert to Christianity, but I'm still in this, learning period myself, obviously, as someone who was newly baptized a year ago. And so I don't want to be one of these people that constantly gives people sermons. I just want to be able to live my faith out loud and to be able to declare whenever I want that Christ is king. One day I will be, though. I'll be ready. I'll be on the level of my husband. I'm going to read some more of your comments. First, reminding you, lastly, about American financing, because I know interest rates have dropped and it's time to take advantage of that. A lot of Americans are struggling to keep up with their everyday bills, eggs, coffee. You're reaching for the credit cards to pay for all of that. Well, if you are a homeowner, interest rates have fallen into the fives. That's nearly a quarter of the average credit card rate. American Financing is helping homeowners like you save an average of $800 a month by tapping into your home's equity and wiping out high interest debt. And the best part is there are no upfront fees to get started. Credit card rates are insane. And if you're carrying a balance every month, you're stuck in an endless cycle. Break free today. Call American Financing and see how much you could be saving. And if you start now, you may even delay the next 2 mortgage payments. So call 800-795-1210. That's 800-795-1210. Or visit AmericanFinancing.net/Owens. That's AmericanFinancing.net/Owens. I also want to say, if you guys want to do this debate, please, we don't need lawyers, okay? Just say yes. I just literally do not want to deal with lawyers. Just say, yeah, I will do the debate tomorrow. I'm going to be home for a while. I've got one more trip to LA before I give birth, and that's it, okay? So this can happen. Baby's due in 7 weeks. Like I said, I'll sit across from all you big guys who know so much. You're a genius at psychiatry and psychology, Dr. Jordan Peterson. It's interesting to see in the comments how completely ratioed he was, because what does that say? What does that say? And I have said nothing back to him, by the way, nothing back to him, because you just can't, I just don't understand people that think you're going to wake up one day and attack Christ is King And that's going to be like a good position to have, and to deem someone pharisaical who hasn't even made that declaration. I had my producer check. I was like, when was the last time I tweeted? December, he said. December. Oh, because it was Christmas. Like, okay. And the funny thing about this report is it says Candace Owens made the phrase go viral during Easter. Oh my gosh, there Christians go, like saying Christ is king during Easter and Christmas. What are we going to do? We've got an anti-Semitism problem. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And that's how the truth is, by the way. It defends itself like a lion. I didn't have to get petty with Jordan Peterson as he did his thread speaking about me, because people saw it and they were able to respond, and they were able to actually learn more about Jordan Peterson via that thread than Jordan Peterson was able to teach them about me. And I would sit down with him. I'm open to having that discussion, Dr. Jordan Peterson, and you can team up, because I am that confident in my beliefs, and I am that confident in the things that I have said publicly, and I am that confident in the things that I will continue to represent publicly. I am not a Christian Zionist. I am just a Christian. And I hope that helps. Okay, we have another comment here from Laura. She writes, obviously, from the Bible, if the world hates you, know that it has hated me before. I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Yeah, that is such John 15, 18, and 19. And she writes, you're doing an amazing job. Greetings from Costa Rica. Daniel writes, I could feel your rage in the beginning of the video and now feel it too. Thank you for fighting this fight for us. Porn is destroying my fellow brothers. You'll be getting more of my money. Thank you, Daniel. I really appreciate that. Candace Owens is spreading hate, writes Lori. What? Shocker. What I hear is just facts. Get it, girl. Jesus is king. Love you, Candace. Stay safe. We need you. Thank you so much, Lori. You guys, this is why I can't even be mad, because I just love you guys. And like I said, you guys got me through the last year. Obviously, my faith got me through last year. My husband got me through this last year. But also you guys who were just like, Candace, do not let this knock you down. We know who you are. We've been with you on this journey for a while. And if I didn't have the confidence of you guys knowing who I am and giving myself every single day, giving you guys pieces of me, and letting you guys learn about me, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. I genuinely wouldn't be able to do what I do. And so thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I'm incredibly grateful. Zachary writes, Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, two of the most popular podcasters and promoters of truth. You both will explore any story, no matter where it takes you. I smell fear. Yeah, I'm always willing to be proven wrong. I'm willing to change my position. I'm willing to debate. I'm willing to debate. And I do find that this sort of approach to preaching from behind a screen and telling people and trying to direct people into what now just feels like smears more than anything else, not really positions, no evidence of those things. If you have true evidence of those claims that I screamed Christ is king at a Jew, then present it. Present it. Stop doing these really long posts, mostly because most people have ADHD and can't even get to the bottom of these like Twitter sermons, you know? I think it's just easier to just make it short or do a podcast episode. I don't know. Mila, I've already read Mila's commentary. Love Queen writes, God bless you. It is because you tell the truth no matter what, and it's because you stand up for anyone whose rights have been trampled, just like the arrest of Mahmoud Khalil. This is what they are mad about. Thank you. Yeah, I find the timing to be interesting, that I'm standing up for speech, and I have not pivoted my opinion on that at all. Defended it when it was the January Sixers, defending it now, but it's Mahmoud Khalil. And for some reason, when it was the J6ers, no one called me anti-Semitic. Now, all of a sudden, because this guy's name is Mahmoud Khalil, it's anti-Semitism. I don't get it, and I don't care to get it, to be honest with you. It's my position. I'm sticking to it. Lastly, Whisper writes, Candace, stay confident and principled. We support you. Trust me, I will remain principled. Trust me, that it's all bigger than us. Like, we are so small. All of us are just so small in all of this. And if I'm the conduit to the debate, great. This platform is not mine, it's God's. I've said that for a long time. Every single mass that I go to, every Sunday, because you can't miss it or you're in sin, the first thing I do is I just express gratitude to God for giving me a platform. And I pray for the same thing every week amongst other things. I just say, I pray that you just give me the words that you want shared with the world, because this is your platform and it's not mine. I'm so small in this. And I know Tucker has the same perspective. He's one of the most wonderful human beings, by the way. I have dealt with everyone. He is genuinely one of the most wonderful human beings. And, you know, support Tucker Carlson, support the people that are stepping out of bounds by trying to tell you the truth and saying things that are not permitted by the mainstream media and the Barry Weisses and the Danielle Greenbaums and the people that write these sorts of hit pieces all the time about us without any evidence of their claims, just smears and libels and attacks perpetually. And Also, by the way, support. If you believe in the things that Jeremy Boring and Andrew Klavan believe in, then you should support the Daily Wire. That's how the free markets works. That's how it works. You like it? You like what you're seeing there? You like what they're throwing down? Support them. Hope that helps, guys. That's all I'm going to say for today. Again, thank you guys for supporting me. You can head to CandaceOwens.com to continue to support me. Join the book club. Buy my book, which, it's been an amazing year already. And so I know that I am blessed. And again, thank you. We will see you tomorrow.